Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm gonna start with saying sorry. The last couple of videos have kind of had like long time spans in between. Right now, you know, it's the middle of summer, and the last couple of weeks have been crazy busy for my family. Like I said before, my daughter plays travel softball. We were at the beach for a week playing the World Series, or came back. We're home for a week, and then turned around and went out this past week for the All-American games up in Kentucky. So been super busy for me. Plus, in the middle of all that, trying to prepare for all that, I decided to do some renovation on my house in a couple of rooms, and I really ain't even get to touch the truck in about a month and a half. Luckily, I've got a large stockpile of footage, so I can still put out videos when I get time to edit. So hopefully, we're back home now. Everything's settling down. I can get back to putting out my videos as regularly as I'd like to. So hope you like this one. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get going on the front of this. So my next move is I'm going to cut out the center section of this radiator support, which is this whole chunk right here. I'm going to cut it out because if you remember when I took it apart, it's got this arch that goes across here. It's called upper tie bar. That ties in here. That's what holds the radiator, condenser, fan shroud, and intercooler. It's also got some other stuff, brackets and stuff that bolt to the back. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to need as far as brackets and whatnot off of the aprons from this truck or from the 77. I'm just going to kind of meld it all together and on the fly as I go. But my next step right now, I'm going to cut this chunk out and bolt it back in the frame on the front of the truck. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to have to dig out the front end of the 77, cut the center section of that radiator support out, put the fenders on, and kind of start seeing how everything's going to fall, figure out how I'm going to meld those two together, because you have to have the other radiator support to mount the fenders to, because that holds the grill and everything as well. I'm not sure, you know, lengthwise how it's all going to work out just yet. I still got to figure all that stuff out. Hopefully that all works out good, because that would really kind of suck if it didn't at this point. I've kind of got a lot of time and money tied up in this. So, nonetheless, here we go. Start whittling this thing apart. See how long it takes for this to fall on my foot. Alright, so you see these like factory MIG welds right here, here. There's a couple of plug welds right here. They just kind of hold this face, this little piece right here on the front of this lower tie bar, technically is what it's called. I'm probably going to just cut that off. I'm not going to use it anyway. All I really need is this lower tie bar, and I'm going to put the upper tie bar back in. And so, like I said, then my next move will be to put the fenders on. Then I've got to square up the front end of the truck, make sure the cab's sitting square, make sure everything gets all squared up. That way all my panels are realigned when I put them back on. Then it'll be time to start trying to finish in and get this thing all settled in with the front end. What I'll do is I'll find a fixed point on the cab, and I'll bring a tram gauge home from work, or use a metric tape measure or something, and I'll square up the radiator support and the cab, because once I square them up, then everything that I bolt on from there will be square, no problem. So that's my next step right now. I'm gonna go find this upper tie bar and try to figure out what bolts go in it. Wish me luck. Been a long time since I've seen it. hey, look at that. Found it. Right where I left it. Imagine that. Outside with all the other crap. Of course, it's pouring rain outside, so I got soaked trying to go get it, and it's soaked, and it was actually full of leaves too, that kind of stuff. But it's been sitting there almost a year, so whatever. So, next up, I'm gonna grab a fender and try to stick it up here, just because the suspense is killing me. I want to see what the length looks like here. So, here we go. All right, so here we are. As you can see, I got the radiator support. I broke it loose from the grill, the other fender, and the other inner splash liner from the 77. Got it all broke down to just the bare radiator support so that I could try to start kind of figuring out. I had to figure out some way to try to square this front end up so I could kind of lock my fenders down so I could know how to meld these two radiator supports together. And the way to start with that is with this radiator support, because it's got a couple of bolts up in the top that I'll be able to put a tram gauge on and kind of lock this thing down and figure out what distance everything has to be apart. That way I can lock down my cab and then work from there, work kind of from the outside in. So as you can see, this radiator support is a little bit higher than where that fender is over there. So what I've done is I've set it up on here. I've got the radiator support centered between these two existing frame rails. All I'm planning to use off this radiator support is going to be like from like right here over. And probably as much of this top rail as I can, because this is where my grill section all bolts on. I don't know, I just kind of have to see how all that works out, if I have to make some brackets or something. Actually, I don't know, we'll figure that out when it comes to it. Right now I'm more concerned with just getting two radiator supports made into one and the front end being square, because it should be kind of a breeze from there. But so the next step is, as you can see, these white lines that I made right here with soapstone around the that is where the frame rail is, the width of the frame rail. Basically, I've measured right now, this radiator support is about 4.5 inches higher than it needs to be in order to bolt to the fenders. So what I plan to do is I'm going to cut out this section on each side. That way I can sit the radiator support down around the frame rails. And then you got these three bolt holes right here. They bolt to the fenders on both sides. So I'll go ahead, I'll hang the passenger side fender. I'll throw the bolts in there. That'll let me square my front end up, line my fenders up to my doors. Actually, I'm gonna have to slide hammer the front of that right door a little bit. It's kind of bent in like that, just a touch. I mean, it ain't gonna be perfect, but if I can pop it out just a little bit to make it look a little bit better. I mean, cause I'm not painting this truck, so I mean, it ain't getting no body work done, no more than whatever. I pop that thing out a little bit. So, nonetheless, I'm gonna cut this on both sides, set this radiator support back down in here, and hopefully everything's gonna bolt up perfectly and line up great. And then I can see exactly where to cut right here, because I'll have an actual measurement from here to there with everything squared up, so that then I'll be able to set the other radiator support in here, cut what I need out of this one, cut what I need. I've already cut the sides off of the other one, meld those two together. So this should be fun. So let's get to cutting. Yay! All right, let's see how this guy fits. It's off to a pretty good start, I'd say. looks like we're gonna have to come down a little more. This fender actually has to come up about a ½ inch from where it is right now. So right now this guy's sitting over in here. It's sitting pretty quickly right about now, but of course it's hitting the front leaf spring mount on the truck. However, that hole lines up. This one will line up too. Hey. That's a start. I'm not quite touching the frame over here. We are over here, but it's because it's sitting on this, I don't know if you can see this big mount right here. It's for the leaf springs. I don't know if I'm going to have to clearance that or not. Once I start some bolts in it, I'll kind of get a little bit better idea. If I have to trim it, I will. It's not really a big deal to me. But at any rate, I'm ready to start putting on this passenger side fender, and then put some bolts in the driver's side, bolts in the passenger side, square that front end up, kind of get an idea of what I'm working with here. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell it right here. Yeah, you should be able to right there. You can see that that fender is kind of running uphill just a little bit. I just got that radiator support kind of roughed in place, and right now it looks like that one's running uphill just a little bit. Now remind you, like I said, I just roughed it in place. And the other side's not sitting down all the way because it's hitting a bracket on the frame, which you can see that the right side is up higher than the left. That right fender's just kind of stuck on there right now. Because I haven't had it on yet, so I just want to stick it on, and hell, I don't think that gap's really going to be acceptable. That's really not going to work for me right now for the amount of work that I've put in, so got to do a little bit more trimming, so I'm going to have to take this radiator support back off of there and cut it a little bit more so we can get these fenders to fit right. I'm going to go on and bolt this fender up the way I did the driver's side and get the gap to the door where it sits where it's supposed to be. Then we'll see where we're at from there. All right, so got that radiator support out. You can see this is the new area that I'm gonna cut out. On the back, I'm gonna cut that first line. That one right there. I'm gonna cut that guy. Gonna do that on both sides. Let me show you. This stupid leaf spring mount is what I was hitting. That was not letting the radiator support sit all the way down like I wanted it to. It would be great if I already had the other suspension on there, because that wouldn't be a problem, but it is. So let me also show you what I found on the fender here. Remember I told you that the front of the door was kind of bent in. Also, this fender has been absolutely cannibalized by someone. So I'm going to probably get a hammer and work that out just a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy because I don't want to knock too much paint off of it, and I don't know how well that blue paint is actually sticking on there. So I'm going to work on that a little bit so it fits a little bit better. I'm also, check this door out. Yeah, that whole deal is beat to shit. You see how far off we are right here. Now I adjusted the door. It is, believe it or not, better. Yes, it was worse. But you can see I adjusted the door. Fits really nice right here, but I don't know what the hell is going on right here. I'm not 100% sure if it's in the door or if it's in this cowl panel right here just a little bit, or if it's in the door right here. Because at the bottom, it fits great. It fits really good at the bottom. So I'm going to try to kind of beat on the fender, the cowl, and the door. I'm going to try to beat on all three pieces a little bit and make that just a little bit better. I'm not going to bore you with that. I probably won't film it. And this right here, this bracket, I think really needs to be adjusted some, but the problem is when I tried to start loosening this bolt right here, it was acting like it wanted to break, and I really don't want to have to deal with that. I mean, I guess if it does break, I could pull the whole bracket off and drill it out and put a big riv nut in there, which the downside of that is with my riv nut gun, I can't fit it in between this air box right here and that. I mean, they make a smaller one that I might could fit in there. I don't know. The ones that you have to do by hand that are like a small rivet gun, man, they kill my hands. My arthritis is just not really in it for all that. So I don't know what I'm going to do right now. Right now, it's in its location that it was when I got the truck, and the fender was on there then. So I got to believe that it'll go back on that way. So that's going to kind of be a last ditch deal. I mean, hell, worst case scenario, maybe I'll just slot these holes if I need to. I'll slot them up. So I don't know. Right now, I'm going to beat on the fender, the door, the cowl, and get this radiator support trimmed up. And then we'll come back and hopefully things fit better. So putting it back on, I realized that still doesn't sit down quite far enough. Need to trim it just a little bit right there on each side. You can see I got her marked there, got her marked there, cut just a little bit off of it. Now there's also what I noticed might kind of help me with some of the things I'm gonna have to change. See that big bracket right there? That's just held on by 4 or 5 spot welds. There's one of those on each side. So I'm fixing to make that cut, grind those spot welds, and get those 2 brackets off. So, watch. Alright, well, everything is trimmed up. Should go in now, should fit. I don't know, we'll see. I'll try to stick it in and start some bolts in that driver's side fender and get them started. Then I'm going to stick the passenger side fender on and see if everything fits a little bit better. Certainly getting lighter and thinner. Pick it up to the fender this time instead of having to lift the fender up to it. That should mean that I fixed it. You can always jack the radiator support up if I need to. Okay, well, that's bolted on. It looks pretty straight looking down the side of it now. Now we get to see if the fender and the door that I beat the hell out of fit any better. Throw this bolt in real quick. I don't know why, it doesn't really need it, but why not? Alright, so if you remember that bracket right here that I talked about earlier, the one that I thought the bolt was breaking, I've tried to shoot a little penetrating oil into the backside. I'm going to see if I can just get this one bolt loose. See if I can kind of roll this bracket up just a little bit. I think it'll help it fit a little bit tighter here. Now kind of beat the door out some and beat the fender out some, and I drove the cowl panel in just a little bit. I got the door readjusted. So hopefully moving everything a little bit, I can stick this thing up here and it'll fit pretty good. And then we can actually start squaring the front of this thing up, because that's, once the fenders fit good to the doors, and with them bolted to the radiator support, then I can square the radiator support up, you know, at least square the front end up to that point, and then try to start putting our other radiator support in and see how they're going to tie together. So now I'm going to try to put this fender on. Actually, no, I'm going to try this if I can get this loose. If nothing else, just see me break the bolt. Came loose quite nicely, actually. Give me a hammer, see if I can tap that dude up just a little bit. We'll be in good shape. Let's see. Oh, wow. Yeah, that moved. Super easy. How refreshing. All right, that goes on there now. Put the fender on. better already. Didn't have to do a lot to be better than it was, though. If we just get this bottom bolt in, get something going. Height-wise, we're not bad here. Well, all right, kind of a long one, I know, but there's a lot to unpack as far as this radiator support goes and everything that goes along with it. There's a lot of brackets and things that have to get cut, made, remanufactured to make all this stuff play together nicely. I do get it done. It comes out fantastic. It's going to probably stretch out over the next, I don't know, at least probably 2 episodes, because like I said, there's a whole lot involved in this, more than just slapping this thing in like you would on a normal truck. Obviously, you're trying to make technology from 77, work with technology from 2000, 2 completely different body style trucks that are built completely different. Spoiler alert, I got the fender put on. Sorry I have to cut that short. I mean, it is what it is. I had to cut the video somewhere. That seemed like as good of a stopping point as anywhere. So stay tuned. Come back. We'll finish up this radiator support and keep it pushed on this truck. I hope you liked it. If you did, subscribe. Go tell 182 friends and tell them to subscribe too. And click the little bell so you get notified every time I put a new video up. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging in there the last month while I was running around all over the place chasing my kids and waiting for this new episode to come out. So we'll see you in the next one.